man. We're gonna go live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're live.
Cool. Hi, Internet. This is Dimitri. I'm the CTO at Eureka King, and today I will be doing a short tutorial on how to build a web bot in 10 minutes. Okay. All right. So Eureka King has created a tool called Archie AI that lets you talk to Google Analytics as you would in a chatbot. And to do something like that with your own project, it's actually a lot easier and faster than it might seem. There's a lot of tools out there that let you connect with Facebook, with WhatsApp, and create your bots within their ecosystem. However, if you want to have a bot on the web so that it can be accessible to anyone with a web browser and the internet, which means an infinitely large audience, you can do that too, and quite fast actually. So we've developed this open source project that's called ChatBubble, and you can find it on Git and clone it and whatnot just by going to this URL. I hope that you guys can see it, depending on how big your screen is. Let me see if I can zoom some more. Okay, so it's just Dmitrizo/chatbot. Okay, and so once you go to this repository, you can read all about it, and to get started, it's like just really simple. And then if you would like to get some experience of how it would look in the end, you can actually look at the sort of tutorial book, and in here you can see the full capacity of it in terms of what it can do. So it can work as a typical really simple system with just the buttons. You just pick the choice that you want and it'll respond with an answer, or you can respond with the keyboard. So today, our responses will be going through the keyboard that will just filter through the JavaScript and figure out what's going on. But there is also a way to make it work with natural language recognition software, and we'll go over that in brief in a little bit, right? So to get started, all you have to do is you have to have npm and just install ChatBubble, right? That's kind of all that needs to be done, right? Just run that here. If you don't have npm, it could also work for you. You can just kind of download the source and reference it in your code. And in fact, today we will be doing it very simply. We're not going to do any like import or any fancy stuff. I'm not even going to spin up a server. It's just like literally opening up a HTML file in your browser, just like this, right? Okay, so to get started, right? Assuming that you have installed the ChatBubble, current version is 1.2.1, right? So in your folder you get node modules, and inside there would be that ChatBubble folder with all the stuff that you need. So I've created index.html file, and it just has a title, some boilerplate stuff, right? And then I just included all the style sheets from the node modules, and I included the JavaScript from node module as well, right? So this is a straight copy of one of the tutorials within the package, right? So sorry, examples, right? So you can just see this one, basic, and that's literally a copy of that. I just changed the URLs to be a relative ones that lead back to node modules. Okay, and so once I ran that, it kind of all does is says hi, right? Which is cool. I mean, it's working. It's nice, and the styles are all there. You don't have to do anything. The script is there, and all you had to take care of really is this part right here. So what is this? This is the conversation structure for your bot, and ICE is the first default kind of a thing that the bot has to say. ICE is you have to type it this way for the API to work, and basically what it's short for is like breaking the ice. You know, when you start the conversation, somebody has to start to say something. You know, this is the bot saying hi, this is the greeting. Now, what if you want it to be a little bit more advanced, right? What if you want the conversation to be a little bit more interesting? So looking at the next basic conversation tutorial, right? I will just replace this with the structure that I've made, and let's just click save and see what happens, right? Right, so this is some very basic stuff, right? Would you like banana or ice cream? Fine, banana, right? And then you can start over. Okay, so what's happening here? So this is the ice object, right? The entire thing. And so first it just says hi, and then it says, would you like an ice cream? So this is an array of things that the bubble bot says. So this is bubble 1, this is bubble 2, right? Like you see over here. Hi, would you like an ice cream? That goes in array under says. And then you get to add reply, and you can get reply objects within an array. So it's an array of reply objects, and each one of them would have a question and an answer, right? And so a question is literally what it says, right? Banana, capital B, that's the option. And answer is banana. Now what does answer do? Answer simply refers to an object name within the convo in here. And here it just goes back to banana, right? And here it says ice cream, it goes to ice cream, right? So if you have some different naming scheme, so let's say object, it would work the same way, right? You want banana, you get banana, right? So this is basically just a reference to where you want to go, right? So once again, so you get the ice within the conversation object. It's right here. This is the first thing that the bot says, and then you add a says object in there, which is an array. And then it's like an array of bubbles. They go one by one, and they're being timed automatically. You don't have to worry about that at all. And then in reply, you can have options, which are objects with a question. That's a label for the bubble. That's what the bubble is going to say. And answer is where it's going to lead within the conversation structure. So in here, it's object, right? So that's really simple. You can create all kinds of stuff, and if you know even a little bit of JavaScript, if you ever seen objects, you can start creating this long conversations, and you can add images in here, like just plain HTML if you like as well. It could be just a fun weekend project for anyone, right? So earlier, well, actually exactly a week ago, I've been asked the question, can we do fuzzy match, or can we do natural language recognition with this script? And the answer is yes, right? It's a very it's a simple script to use, but it could get pretty advanced, right? So for example, with Archie, we're using exactly the same system to communicate what the users have with happening in their Google Analytics. So for example, I can just say, yo, what's up? right? And this is not something that you can really anticipate. Natural language software has to recognize what's going on, and you can ask questions that involve traffic, right? So this is not something that you can predict for all the cases. So you will need to use something like Watson natural language recognition software, and I'll mention it briefly, but in our case, I would like to go over something that you can do immediately, and so we shall continue. Right. So what I want to show you how to do next, right? So after you get your bubbles working, right, you can have like a nice conversation about ice cream, bananas, or whatever really that you want. You can really deploy this on your website in like way less than 10 minutes. Like 2 minutes it'll take you to deploy something like this. It's just like up to you to write the script, right? This is your creative genius that's gonna take care of something like that. But if you want the users to reply, to type replies within your box, right? Something like this. Right? Something really simple that would make that work. It's really isn't that difficult, right? So in this case, the way that the system works is whatever you type here will match against the option that you have in the bubble, and if if there is no match, it doesn't know what to do. But if there's exact match, and it's kind of like it could be like whatever is inside. It doesn't have to be literally exact match. You'd be like, okay, I know what you're talking about. Right? Just go so. You don't have to type the whole thing, right? And it works. So to do this, what you need to do is implement a callback function, right? So down here, this is the sort of the main starter unit of the whole chat bubble thing. And what it does is, first of all, you have to create a constructor, and then you create a DOM element, and then you have to tell to the new bubbles constructor object the name that you gave to the variable here. And the reason for that is that you can actually have custom functions within your script. And then all you have to do is just kind of like refer to them by name. But in order to be secure and so that people wouldn't be able to just add like whatever functions in there, you have to tell this thing what you're referring to, right? So that's a little bit outside of the scope of this tutorial, but you can look it all up in one of the examples, right? So let's move on to the keyboard, right? The main thing that we're talking about here. And so what we need is, so we'll keep the conversation as is, right? Oh, it talks about bananas or ice cream. And what we want to do is add a callback function, right? So just add it right here. Input callback function. Right, and inside, what we want to do is to create two cases. One is for miss, and one is for match. Right, so in case of miss, as you have seen here, is oops, wasn't here. Right here, right. So if you type something that it doesn't recognize, that doesn't match the text to one of the options, it needs to be able to reply something, right? It has to say something that's like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about, right? So let's do that first. So I'm just going to copy what I have in the example and paste it here. Hopefully you guys can see this, right? And so the miss is going to be called I don't get it, right? So, ooh. just make it a little bit different, right? And so what this means right here is just a button that goes restart to where you began before, right? So if you this is the same question that pops up again. Instead of just starting at the very beginning, it just restarts the conversation where you left off, right? So once again, you got the bot working. This is your conversation, right? After installing all this stuff, you can just copy it from the tutorial, right? And then you adding a callback function, right? And the first thing that you do is, is miss, right? So what happens if the bot doesn't understand the keyboard input, right? Next, we'll add match, right? And so if it matches, it'll just go to whatever the answer key is, right? And then after this, okay, we'll add a little bit more code. And you can straight out just copy all of this stuff from the tutorial, right? The tutorial is, the example is number 4, advanced keyboard, right? And all of that is in that GitHub repository I mentioned earlier, right? So the next stuff that we're adding here is basically, this is a regular expression that just says that you just got to match one of the things that user has typed to the bubble option, right? So in case somebody says about, which is just this part of the option, it won't understand, right? That's what we want. We don't want users to have to type the whole thing, just like one of the things, for their convenience, right? And this is the function that goes like, okay, so if it found what it needs, right, you'll run the match function. Otherwise, you'll run the miss function, right? So miss function will just return, I don't get it, right? And match function will just search for the answer within your tree, right? So let's see if that works. Okay. No, it didn't. Let's see why. Missing a parenthesis. What did I do wrong? Right. And is that what I want? Huh. All right. Okay, to avoid wasting everybody's time, I will just paste whatever worked for me last time and not search for errors in the live tutorial. Okay. All right. Yeah, so I broke some links. Sorry about that. Let's fix that real quick. All right. So hopefully you do a little bit better job than me at balancing your brackets. But basically nothing really changed except for that error that I didn't bother to look for. So we got the conversation, right, that you write in here using objects. So you got the ice, right, the break in the ice. Say, hi, would you like banana or ice cream, right? This is the array of questions. Then you got the possible replies, right? And we got 2. We got one here, we got another one. We got banana or ice cream, right? Banana or ice cream. And then we got the answers for for banana and answer for ice cream, right? It basically says banana or it says ice cream. You can add emojis if you like, doesn't matter. And it has an option within the reply, right? So you can try that. Banana, okay, you get banana, you can start over, right? And what start over does, right, as you can see here, it just goes back to ice, right? So it just searches back again here. Now we got the keyboard thing working now. All right, let's test that. Okay, that works, and it responds well to errors, right? It doesn't understand, right? So to go over that, how does that work is if it doesn't understand, if it's missed, right? The case is missed, it didn't find what it was looking for, it just says, sorry, I didn't get it. Right? You can change that if you want. All right. So it makes sense. And if it doesn't understand, it just tells you to start over, right? Excuse me. Okay, and so we got the basic keyboard input working. Wow, haven't talked that much in a while. And then, so this is, this is pretty much it for a bot that you can have on your web page in 10 minutes or less. It just literally depends on how long it takes you to write the script. And you can make it say anything, and the users will be able to either pick a button or type something, right? Whatever they're most comfortable with. If they want to, this also works on mobile, right? So you can just get your users to visit your website on their mobile device and work fine. Right? It doesn't understand hello, but it does understand start over. Right, and then later, if you want to use something that processes your language, all you would have to do is add into your callback function. Where did I have that example? Oh, I don't have it up. Sorry. I will hunt for it in a second. But what you would basically do is, if you want natural processing language, you would replace this function right here. Right. So what this function does, once again, right? It looks at what you are typing here and matches it to the answer. And so what you need to do is to replace this regular expression with a request, an AJAX request that would go to a natural processing software or your provider, and then you will come back with a few options, and you probably pick the top one, and it will give you a classifier that you can match against your conversation. And so you can treat those classifiers as those names of the objects, right? That's exactly how we've done here, right? What's the weather like, right? So it pretty much never misses an answer. It always has an answer, but you can always, set your settings to whatever you want. It really doesn't get that complicated. You can, of course, go into JavaScript and tweak it around and add some things and customize whatnot, but it really kind of ends up here, right? So I don't know if it was 10 minutes or not. I kind of lost track of time already, but I'll just sort of run through the code one more time just to make sure I'm not losing anyone. Like, this is really simple, and especially compared to some advanced stuff we talked about before. But I do want more people to use it. And it's a lot easier to build something like this. It's a lot easier to build a bot on the web than it is to build a website. You don't have to design anything. Like, literally, you can just change the colors, change the fonts, and you have your own bot, right? The most important thing about the bot is what you type, the script that you type. And so it's ridiculously simple. This is like easier than WordPress or GeoCities or whatnot you had back then. All right, so this is boilerplate stuff. This is style sheets that we get from the chat bubble package, right? So you will have to sort of link them whichever way that you want, well, whichever way you get the package from npm or just downloading. Just make sure that these links are correct and you're getting all of them. And then if you want to be clever, you can combine them or do whatever. The reason I have separated them into different files is so that you can have an easier time customizing them. And then if you want to minimize and if you want to squish it into one nice neat package, go ahead, right? And this is just a JavaScript package they have to add. This you need to have in your HTML. This is where all this stuff is going to go into, right? And then that's it for HTML. After that is JavaScript. And the most important part, of course, is your script for the bot, right? So remember, you start with ice, right? Breaking the ice. You open curly brackets and you stuff inside another object that says, right? It's the key, and the value is an array of your bubbles, right? So you can always add bubbles one by one, and they will always sequence, right? So it's really simple, just like that, right? Nice and neat, smooth. You don't have to do anything, and it will also scroll for you too, right? So if you have a lot more longer conversation, it will do this thing pretty nicely for you, right? And then you get replies, right, which is those black boxes over here, and the it's an array of objects, and those objects are your options, right? So I try not to give more than 2. I mean, you can give like 3 if you want, but also remember that if you want this to work on mobile screen, you might just kind of get squishy and weird, right? But you can give 3. It's not a problem. You can do that. It'll pick the right one just the same way. No problem. But do try to keep it limited, and for users too, right? And then you got the ice is where you start, and the other keys in your conversation is the actual script, right? So you can just create a whole tree of really long conversations. You can literally make a computer game out of this in in a few hours and publish it and be a millionaire if you want. All right, so and then if you want the users to be able to input with a keyboard and just type and just add from the one of the advanced tutorials or examples in here, just the script, and you can customize it, right? So this one, the miss, all you have to do is say like add and understand in your own language, right? Whatever you want to call it. And then this, you really don't need to do anything unless you want to implement your natural language recognition service, and this would be the place to connect it to NOC, right? And then if there is some interest, I can do another video on how to do this exactly, but this is it for now. All right, so I think this is it, really. If you have any questions about this project, how to implement it, I think the easiest way to go about it is just to go to to the project on GitHub, chat bubble, and just open up an issue, right? Just straight up ask your question right here, and I'll try to answer as soon as possible. And that's about it. Thank you very much, guys. It's been a pleasure.